Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. Today we have a really important video because a lot of people are trying to compare make.com with n8n. So maybe if you're like me, you start out with make.com and you see everyone making tutorials about n8n. And so maybe you're curious about what the big deal is. And so I've been messing around with both platforms for quite a while now. And so I wanted to make this really simple tutorial to help you discover which tool is right for you. Now, I will have to say that I started out with make.com, which in my opinion is an easier platform to start with. But n8n is also very powerful and has lots of cool features as well, and lots of things that it can do that make.com can't do. And so in this video, I'm going to just do a very simple workflow that's going to involve 3 steps. Number 1, we're going to connect to a weather API and get the weather for Chicago. Step 2, we will insert that data into a spreadsheet. And then step 3, we will send an email. So nothing too complicated, but just a good simple workflow that will give you an idea of how each platform operates. So let's get started with make.com first. So here I am in make.com, and this is my my canvas, and here's a module. So I need to set up a trigger to get started to run the automation. And so the first thing we'll do is just click this little crosshair right here, and we'll look for the HTTP module. And then we'll scroll down to make a request. So in order to get the weather for Chicago, we're going to use an API that's free, and it's available here on the website called openweathermap.org. And I already have the URL written out, so I'll just copy and paste that from my document here. But you can see it's broken down by a query string where Q equals Chicago. And then I have my API ID right here. And then the units is just telling me what format to return the weather in, whether Fahrenheit or Celsius. So I'm just going to copy that from my document, hop back over to make.com, and in the URL, just paste that in. Okay, so we're going to do a get method because we're going to get data from the API, and then we'll hit save. So let's go ahead and save this scenario, and I will go ahead and run it once just to test it and make sure it works. And I got an error. It says city not found. Let me just double check my query string here. Whoops. Let's try that. Run it one more time. Whoops. Oh. I spelled Chicago wrong. Let's go back. Yes, I put a K in after Chicago. See? We all make mistakes. As long as we can learn from them, that's what matters. All right, let me go back. But that's okay. So I'll try again and spell Chicago correctly. Okay, and hit save. Save and run. And boom, there we go. So we see down here in the bottom right hand corner, the status code is 200, and that means that everything came back fine. And you can see all the data here in the bottom right hand corner. Now this is kind of hard to see and doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to us. And if you're not sure about it, this data is being returned in a JSON string. And so in make.com to format that so it's easier to read and see, we'll just do a parse JSON module, and we'll click on parse. And the data we're going to parse is data. So just click on it and hit save. In make.com, you can hit this little button down here, this little wand with little stars, and it will auto align the modules on the canvas back into the center. I'll hit save. We'll ignore the warning and hit run again. Okay, so we have these little bubbles here. Have this connecting bubble to this, connecting string to this bubble. And now, if we click on this little icon here, we can see all the data is much easier to read. So it came in like this, and now it's being formatted like this. And the information that we want is under the main collection. And you see the temperature in Chicago is 59.56 degrees Fahrenheit, but feels like 58.73 Fahrenheit. We also have other information like pressure, humidity, sea level, visibility, wind, cloud cover, and things like that. But we're just interested in the weather for now. Okay, so now we want to store this into a spreadsheet. I already have a spreadsheet created here on my Google Drive account. And you'll see the columns are called the location, temperature, feels like, humidity, and platform. Platform will be how we designate whether it's for make.com or the record was added through n8n. So let's go ahead and click this little plus icon here, and we'll add a Google Sheets module. And we want to add a row to this spreadsheet. So I already have a connection to my Google Drive account, so I won't go through that in this video. But what we need to do now is navigate to this Google Sheets sheet, which is on my Google Drive. So click here to choose. I'll go to my work and I'll just drill down until I find the right place. There. So now we've connected to the weather report Excel spreadsheet, and the sheet name is just going to be sheet 1. So we'll choose sheet 1 from the drop down. And now we see the option for, does the table contain headers? And yes, it does contain headers on the first row. So we just leave that as yes. And now we need to map the values that came from this module to the Google Sheets module. So how do we do that? Well, just click in the input field, and that's going to pull up all the previous modules. You'll see this one is the JSON module here in purple, and this is the blue module over here, the HTTP module here. So now we have access to all the previous modules and their data. So we need to insert the location from the parse JSON. So we'll open that up and scroll down until we find the location. So the city we're trying to get the weather for is Chicago. So we'll just click on it and it will automatically populate that input field. Now let's do the same thing for temperature. Click on it, automatically adds it. Feels like. Humidity, humidity. Platform will be make.com. And hit save. All right, let's auto line. Let's save our scenario and run it one more time. And there's no errors popping up. So if we check our spreadsheet, you'll see now that we have a new row in the spreadsheet. The location is Chicago. The temperature is 59.56. And there's other information there. And this is from the make.com platform. Okay, last thing we're going to do, according to our instructions here, was send an email. So how do we do that? Again, we're going to click on the plus icon. We'll do a search for Gmail, and we're going to create or send an email. Now I already have a connection to my Gmail account, so I won't show you how to do that now. But basically we're going to choose who we're going to send this email to, and I'll just put my own personal email in there for now, and I'll call it weather report from Make. And let's do something like the weather in. Now we want to choose the city, right? So we need to go find the city. The weather in Chicago is blank Fahrenheit, but feels like blank Fahrenheit. Something like that. Hit save, auto line, save, run it. And that should have also added another record to our spreadsheet. And now if I go check my email, I should have a new email. There it is, weather report from Make. The weather in Chicago is 59 degrees Fahrenheit, but feels like 58. Okay, so there you go. That's a very simple example in Make.com, but it shows you how it works with these little round, colorful bubbles, and it's very the interface is very user-friendly and very intuitive. So let's do the same exact thing now for n8n. So here I am in n8n, and the way they kind of defined their platform, they use what's called workflows, where Make.com calls them scenarios. So that's one difference, scenarios versus workflows. But the setup is kind of the same. You have this canvas here, and you can change the color of this canvas from this dark gray to a white to something similar to this. I just prefer the darker color. So the first thing we need to do, just like Make.com, is add a trigger. And they have this nice little trigger that you can just choose, and you don't actually need to choose something like this. You can actually choose this generic trigger. And whenever you just click on it, it just go ahead and test the workflow, and the workflow executes successfully because there's nothing else going on. Okay, so what's next? We need to do the HTTP request. So how do we do that? Well, you click on this little plus icon here, and this little window pops up, just like when you're over here in Make.com. If you click on the plus, a window pops up, kind of the same thing. So then you just choose what you're looking for. So we're looking for the HTTP module, just like we did here. So just type in HTTP, make a request. Okay, so now here's where things get a lot different, right? It's already looking a bit different where the pop-up window is in the middle, and where with Make.com it kind of pops up here, but it doesn't have any other information. You can still see all the little bubbles. So, but the information that we're trying, like the steps, are all the same, right? So if we just go back to Make.com and grab this same URL, I'll just copy it, come back over to n8n, copy paste it, and if I just hit test step, I just hit test, and boom, right away we got information from our module, and it already is easier to read. Right away it's easier to read than Make.com, right? If you remember from Make.com, when we did the request, so here's the input and here's the output, right? It came back like this, which is really hard to read. Well, with n8n, it automatically kind of parses the JSON and makes it a lot easier to read. And you'll see that all we had to do is click test the step, and it went ahead and tested that one module. Okay, so let's click back to Canvas. So what's next? We need to, well, we don't need to do this, right? This is already kind of taken care of. So now what we can do is go straight to Google Sheets. So we'll click here, Google Sheets. We will append a row. It's called append a row in a sheet. A little bit differently. Call a little bit differently in n8n. Let's move this guy out of the way. Okay, so I already have established again my credentials and my account with Google Sheets, but I still need to choose it from my drop down. And there it is, weather report. And the sheet is sheet 1. Whoops. It is sheet 1. There you go. And now it's saying, hey, you need to map the data coming from the API to the fields that are going into the spreadsheet, which is similar to what we did with this module here. So essentially we are skipping the parse JSON module. So how do we do the mapping? Well, let's see, the location is going to be Chicago. So we just click it and then drag it over. Okay, click and drag. Temperature. Let's see, temperature is here. Click and drag. Feels like. Click and drag. Humidity. Click and drag. And then platform be n8n. Okay. So now what you can do, oops. What you can do now is we can actually test this step, which is what I really love about n8n is you can just test this one part of the workflow. You don't actually have to run the whole thing. You just run that one module and hit test step. And there it goes. And so over here, you see this is the input. This is sort of the action module, what's going on, and this is the output. And so now if we go check the spreadsheet, we should see, there we go, another row. And then in the spreadsheet, but this time it came from n8n. Okay, let's go back to, what's next on our list? We have to send the email, right? Yep, step 3 is send the email. So how do we do that? So let's go back to Canvas, click the plus icon, we'll search for Gmail, and we'll search for send a message. And again, you're going to need to set up a connection with your Gmail account in order to do this. So the resource is message, the operation is send. We're going to send it to my email address with the subject of weather report from n8n. And we'll just say, hey, the weather in. Again, we need to drag this over, the weather in. And then the variable JSON.location is referring to Chicago. The weather in Chicago is, and we just click and drag the temperature, but feels like there. And if this looks kind of small and hard to see, you can always click this little arrow right here, and this will open up to a bigger full screen. And this is another thing I really like about n8n is, look, it already gave me a preview here on the right hand side of what this is going to look like. Like I don't actually have to run this to see what the result is. So the weather in JSON.location is JSON.temp, but feels like JSON feels like. And look, right over here, the weather in Chicago is 59.4, but feels like 58.57. So I love that. I love that you can preview it without actually having to run the module. And so now we can, if we want to do some formatting, we can kind of clean this up. We can add Fahrenheit, Fahrenheit feels like. You can customize it. Hey, hello, John. And see, automatically on the right hand side, it's showing me a preview of what that's going to look like. Very cool. And so click the X, and now we can just test this step again without running the whole thing. Hit test step, and it doesn't look like there was any errors. So now we'll just go back to my email and check. Hit refresh, and boom. Weather report from n8n. Hello, John. The weather in Chicago is, but feels like, thanks, Jonathan. So there we go. We just did the whole thing. So now if we just kind of like, we can run this whole thing now. We can save it. And this, we just test the whole workflow. So down here at the bottom, you can click on test workflow and hit that. And you see as it's running, it's spinning and it shows you which module that is hitting in real time. So now what should have happened? We should see another record in the spreadsheet, and we should have gotten another email from n8n, which we did. There we go. Okay, so there you go. I just did a simple example, automation example for you, showing you some of the various differences between make.com and n8n. So which one do you prefer? Which platform are you trying out right now? Which platform are you enjoying? Leave a comment down below. Let me know which one is your favorite. and I'll see you in the next video. All right, bye for now.